Yeah, it's exciting to try to make an impact on these girls and young women's lives and help them advance again, not just in golf but in life. So, yeah, it's been really fulfilling. In fact, it's probably been, the most fulfilling 14 months of my career in a lot of ways. Just being involved with the foundation. I joined in the beginning of 2023.
Welcome back to the Players Pursuit podcast. I am your host, Alex Shattuck. Today we have a very special guest, Rob Ohno, who is currently the head of the Annika Foundation. Hopefully everyone understands, and we're all on first name basis with Annika Sorenstam and what she's doing for the women's game. But his background's incredibly interesting as well. From graduating from Harvard and playing a little pro hockey to working for the PGA Tour for over 2 decades. So welcome to the show, Rob.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's so. How does someone who graduates with an economics degree from Harvard end up working for the PGA Tour?
Yeah, good question. Sometimes I ask myself that too, but I got into golf a little bit more after college, but I was working and then went back to business school, but I was working at General Mills, and I think at that time, just a couple years after grad school, I just wanted to meet people in the golf industry, and if I ever had a chance to work in the golf industry, it'd be great, but I was going to have a hard time meeting people if I was working full time. So I did something pretty crazy. I asked for a leave of absence when I was at General Mills. This was just a few years out of grad school. Everybody thought I was probably going crazy, but I was the only way I could network and try to meet people. So I had
Yeah.
like a 6 month leave of absence granted, and I just worked pretty hard to just meet people, talk to people, get introduced to people, and believe it or not, within 6 months, I had probably two or three opportunities to go into the golf industry, and I was thinking it was just more for down the road. I was actually thinking I'd go back to General Mills, but I accepted one of the opportunities to go work at American Golf Corporation, so I never went back to General Mills. And I've been in the golf industry ever since. It's probably been 28 years being in the golf industry now. So it was kind of a crazy thing to do, but thankfully things worked out.
Well, and really, it just kind of demonstrates, everyone knows the power of the golf bug, right? Like you catch it, and you're gonna do whatever it takes to get to do what you want to do within the industry or the game or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think for me too, it wasn't necessarily just, to play golf. I enjoyed playing golf and I picked it up after college, but there were so many fascinating things about the industry and the game. I mean, no other sport you call a rules infraction on yourself. But golf does, and people have lost tournaments or missed the cut by doing that. And golf and the PGA Tour, for example, they give a lot of money back to charities to help communities, and they give PGA Tour gives back more to charities than all the other sports combined. So there was just a lot of unique features, that the sport had to offer, and it was a life kind of growing experience for me over those 6 months too. I went to a golf trade show. They had one in Orlando. I went to one in Las Vegas, and I literally networked for 10 hours a day for 3 days straight. And this is a trade show, so these companies aren't interested in talking to people like me who might be looking for a job. They're trying to do business and do business deals. So, I'd have my 60-second spiel at all these different golf companies that I was trying to make inroads with, and it was a fascinating time, to kind of step out of your comfort zone and kind of sell yourself to people who have no idea who you are. And so I just had a lot of fascinating experiences during those 6 months, and like I said, I was lucky enough to have some opportunities come up.
Yeah, and what you do now is also very interesting with the Annika Foundation. A lot of players, a lot of pro athletes, celebrities in general have these foundations. It's kind of a side project, whatever. But with Annika, the greatest woman of the last, 50 years at the very least, in the game, like she is so hands on, and her operation and what you guys are accomplishing is huge. How did you get set up? With Annika, and can you tell the audience a little bit more about sort of the mission?
Yeah, I think I'll just give a little background. I've been working at the PGA Tour for 24 years, but I think during COVID, I had a little bit of kind of a reassessment of, what I was doing with my life, and we were starting to do things that were impacting young people or people through the game of golf. And just a quick example, during COVID, we couldn't play these international tours that I was managing to help players get to the Korn Ferry Tour. We couldn't play because of COVID. So our team and we set up these last minute tours to be played in the US. And we had players from, 16, 17 different countries come over and play. And just had a lot of players that just thanked our team, thanked me for keeping their dreams alive. Otherwise, they were going to just, transition into the workforce. And it was probably one of the first times I felt like, wow, we've really made a direct impact on someone's life to help them pursue a dream. And I thought it was just a neat feeling, or a feeling of satisfaction to really help somebody. And then I was serving on the American Junior Golf Association board and understood what they were doing to help boys and girls get to college and play golf, so to help fulfill those dreams. I was starting to speak at some leadership classes and making, impact on some of these high schoolers that I was talking to. And so a lot of these things were happening of just like helping me maybe reassess what I wanted to do. And, and quite frankly, I didn't think I was probably going any further at the tour. I was at an executive level. I wasn't really going to be going up any higher. And I think instead of maybe thinking about myself and how many more people can I manage, and how much more money can I make, and how much more responsibility I can take on, I was probably one of the few times in my career I just said, what can I do to help others? And if I could help others through the game of golf, and help young people, I just thought that'd be something I would like to do. And this Annika Foundation opportunity came around. I knew the person who was running the foundation. I knew he left, but I didn't really respond to anything. And then I just saw something on LinkedIn, believe it or not. And I thought about it for, 20 minutes, half hour, and said, why not? Why not at least put my name in the hat? And believe it or not, Mike McGee, Annika's husband, responded back to me within 5 minutes, basically. And he said jokingly, are you really interested, or did LinkedIn say that we were, a good match here? So that's how it started. And I'll pause here, but Annika and Mike and I just feel like we really hit it off.
Yeah, and so what is your role in kind of the day-to-day operations? I have a schedule of all the different events that you guys put on during the year. So what is the motivation, and what is the sort of end goal, if there is one?
Yeah, we try to describe our mission as that we develop and empower young women all around the world through the game of golf. So we try to give them awesome golf opportunities and experiences and help with golf development, but we also try to help with life development. So that's really it, kind of in a nutshell of what we do. But we'll try to help, girls that are 6 years old all the way up to young women, maybe into their mid to late 20s. And we have a lot of initiatives that we might, that we do. So it could be Share My Passion grassroots clinics for young girls to get them interested in the game, help them meet other girls who might be interested in, in golf. We do these amazing junior golf invitational events around the world. We do 6 of those on 5 different continents. And the winner of these events, for example, might get into an LPGA Tour event. Or the winner of our event in Latin America gets into 3 major championships. I mean, it's crazy, some of the opportunities and experiences that we give these young women all around the world. We do a fabulous college event. We're looking to a second college event for a different set of schools, and now we're helping young professionals through a development program. We'll end up supporting a dozen women as they pursue their dreams of playing pro golf out of college. We partnered with this amazing private club in South Carolina called Old Barnwell. So these women have a place to play and practice and have housing and get some financial assistance. And now we put Annika's name on a pro tour. It'll be the Annika Women's All Pro Tour to help women get to the Epson Tour and to the LPGA Tour. So we do a lot of things kind of, depending on the age range for these girls and young women.
Yeah, and, the growth of the women's game at the professional level has been just amazing to see the inroads being made in the purses, the growth of Symetra, now Epson Tour, and it wasn't that long ago where if you weren't on the LPGA Tour, it was tough to find places to play. And now it's much more accessible. Girls kind of chasing the dream have a lot greater opportunity.
Yeah, I'll give credit to a gentleman, Gary DiSerrano. He'd been running the men's professional tour called the All Pro Tour that was trying to help the male side pursue their dreams of playing pro golf, and he started up a women's tour 5 years ago, and it's helping women basically get to the Epson Tour and LPGA Tour. There's so many women coming out of college now that are really talented players, and only so many can make it through Q School. And as you know, you have one off round at Q School, and then all of a sudden you don't have status. You don't get status on the Epson Tour, or you don't get very good status. And where do these women play? So this tour has really provided a platform for these women to develop and progress. And the event I went to, they had women from 20 different countries playing on this tour that's played here in the States. But we just felt like we had an opportunity to strengthen it, help improve it, maybe get to some other venues. Eventually, we'd love to help reduce entry fees, raise purses for the women in terms of our partnership with them to help them out. And it fits our mission, to help further develop and advance women, not again just in golf, but in life. Because we're going to be doing some things that just helps them understand just a broader perspective on life as they pursue their dreams. So
Well,
it's going to be an awesome fit.
and as a player development coach, like I look at the process, and you want to make sure that sort of every level is covered, right? So the introduction to the game and then straight to whether it's junior competition or development through college, providing that opportunity, and then beyond all the way through the top. And the fact that you guys are kind of handling each stage is beyond impressive, and the opportunities are going to be endless.
Yeah, it's exciting to try to make an impact on these girls and young women's lives and help them advance again, not just in golf but in life. So, yeah, it's been really fulfilling. In fact, it's probably been, the most fulfilling 14 months of my career in a lot of ways, just being involved with the foundation. I joined in the beginning of 2023, but I think it was a good match. Annika and Mike, they were looking to expand the foundation, figure out how they could reach more young women around the world, what initiatives we should be undertaking, and how to raise the money to fund those initiatives and how to bring more exposure to the foundation. So that's really my job, is to help with some of those strategic pillars, if you will. And it's been an amazing journey so far.
Yeah, and I you're kind of the man for the job. I mean, I can see why the hiring process was so quick for you because of your background on, in the men's side, but with the PGA Tour. So I'm curious, how the PGA Tour has expanded their scope over the last few years with, the feeder tours. You were head of international tours, which I'm imagining is Canada, Latin America, and China, and what existed then. What was the process of the PGA, deciding that it needed to expand and provide that part of it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was the PGA Tour was starting to become more global. And getting players from all over the world wanting to play on the PGA Tour. and getting a lot of those fans and countries and media, to follow. But in some ways, it almost happened more, by happenstance in a way, meaning that just the best players in the world started gravitating to want to play on the PGA Tour. And I think the PGA Tour felt like, maybe we should take more proactive efforts to further advance the pathways for these players all around the world to make their way into the PGA Tour family. So instead of, I'll call it making players always come to the U.S. to play Q School or Monday Qualify, the tours, develop some tours and put them in strategic places around the world, whether it's Latin America or in Asia, and even in Canada. Canada's got a huge following, and there was a lot of great players that were being developed. But yeah, I think the tour, they just wanted to further progress just the pathway system for these players all around the world, and players literally from all around the world played on these tours. It wasn't just players that were in Latin America, or it wasn't
No.
just players that were in Asia. I mean, literally players from all over the world, wanted to get on these tours, to make their way to the Corn Ferry Tour. And I think time has shown that these tours, development tours, have been really, really successful in cultivating talent. And as you know, Alex, not every player develops at the same speed.
No.
I mean, not every player, is playing their best golf, when they're a senior in college and then, then launching into their pro career. Some of them are still progressing after they graduate and, finding the confidence or finding a couple things that will really advance their game. And so to give them the platform to play against good competition and to further develop, I mean, I think it's invaluable, what the
Well,
PGA Tour is
and
doing.
golf is so unique. It's not like you finish your college career and you get drafted. Like, I mean, you're doing this on your own, and in these other sports, you kind of either get drafted or you don't. Like, sure, there's some free agents here and there, but not really like golf. And so I don't know what the stats are now. You'd probably be able to tell me more than I could say, but the average age of a PGA Tour rookie is much higher than people think.
Yeah,
For
it is higher than people think. I will say though, over time, the last 5, 7 years, the average age is dropping just
yeah.
because the depth in the college
Mhm.
space right now. There's so many good players
Mhm.
coming out of college that are very talented and ready to win basically and ready to contend, which is almost unheard of. And I give credit to the college system for further developing these players, but even down to the American Junior Golf Association, the
Oh, yeah.
AJGA. I mean, they've done an amazing job of just providing opportunities for boys and girls to perform and improve and develop friendships, with folks from all over the world. So when they get to college, when they get to the pros, they're just way more comfortable now than 15 years ago. So I think there's been a lot of factors besides just the talent level, and the training techniques have obviously continued to progress. But the depth of talent, both on the men's side and the women's side, I mean, it's outrageous. I mean, look at Rose Zhang coming out of college. I
Yeah.
mean, she left college early and didn't even,
Yeah.
I know she's still finishing up her degree, but to leave college at 20, two-time NCAA champion, two-time Annika Award winner, as the best collegiate player, and then she wins her first pro event. Like, that's not, well, that's crazy. That's
Well, it's
amazing.
amazing that you have a player like her, but then we also have, Jake Knapp winning this year, who made his way through the PGA Tour Canada. I mean,
Yeah,
he didn't have a place to play.
I actually knew Jake when he had performed well on PGA Tour Canada and got, went up to the Corn Ferry Tour and, bounced around a little bit before he made his way up to the PGA Tour. So to see a story like that is just, I mean, it's amazing. Just the perseverance. He's a great person too. So we're all thrilled for him. He's obviously very talented like everybody else, but to see him break through, oof, I mean, that just kind of sends chills up your spine.
Well, and for a tour that really makes its case on, yes, having the best players in the world, but also the storylines that come with high level competition, the fact that there are these other pathways to get there, and it's not just the savants that kind of just spend their time there, is invaluable from a product side as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it is. But I'll say that there's so many players that have come off these international development tours, the ones that I was overseeing, that have gone on, to make it onto the PGA Tour and win on the PGA Tour. I mean, it's just so gratifying, to see that progress and process, and to see it work. But it's even like on the women's side, are supporting these Annika Development Program ambassadors. So it's a dozen women coming out of college that we support. One of the women is Catherine Musi, a talented player, played at South Carolina, spent 4 years actually at USC in California, did her fifth COVID year at University of South Carolina, played in the NCAA championships, but she went to Q school and had, one off round and didn't get her Epson Tour status. But listen, so then shortly after that, she goes and Monday qualifies into an LPGA Tour event in the fall. We're thrilled for her. She plays in her first pro event in Dallas, makes the cut. We're thrilled for her. And she goes on to finish seventh, tied for seventh in this LPGA Tour event, and she doesn't even have status. But it's just an example of how many talented players there are on the men's side and the women's side that may not even have LPGA or PGA Tour status, that honestly can play at that level. They just need the opportunity. And that's what we're trying to do, is just help these, in this case at the Annika Foundation, just help these women, pursue their dreams, because we know they can do it. And it's just giving them a chance to, to perform.
The game of golf. It's both challenging and rewarding, requiring focus, concentration, and the ability to tune out outside distractions. Peak performance is achieved through a synergy of body and mind. Shell Golf Apparel is designed with advanced textile technology that moves with you, with four-way stretch and moisture-wicking properties that keep you cool and dry. Visit shell.shop today and get 40% off the entire golf collection using promo code PlayerPursuits. Now, back to the podcast with your host, Alex Shattuck.
So let's kind of plug that now as well. So if somebody's looking to be a part of, what you are doing, what's the best way for them to do that? Is it to play an event? Is it to donate? What's the best way?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. I mean, of course, we only survive based on the financial support we get, whether it's through individuals, companies, foundations. So if people believe in, what I'll call women's empowerment and youth development, that's really what we're doing. It's just that we're doing it through the game of golf. And if people believe in that mission, which many people are, these days, it'd be wonderful to get people's support, from that standpoint. As far as participants, a lot of times, the fields that we have in the clinics, there's only so many girls and young women that we can serve. But of course, we'd love to have people directly participating in our initiatives. But we also are developing more content and information, just through our website. So one example is Annika's approach to Life and Links, a new initiative we developed last year. It's to provide not just golf tips, but life tips that are learned through the game of golf. And so I had a lot of people that just said, oh, how does my daughter, or how does this girl that I coach, how does she benefit from what you're doing? So we developed this initiative. So basically anybody can be a part of and benefit from what we're doing. So they can just go to our website or follow us on social media, and they'll be able to, hopefully get some life learnings from, the greatest of all time.
Yeah, if you're going to listen to someone, make sure it's someone who knows what they're doing and talking about, and there's no debate that you're getting that there.
Actually, Alex, I don't know if you know this story, but I've heard Annika speak several times over the past 14 months, and it's like she's an amazing speaker. transparent, humble, informative, funny, quick-witted. I've actually learned a ton just by listening to her, not just golf tips, but again, just life tips. And it's just her as a junior, when much in her younger years, it's documented, and she's talked about it. She used to throw tournaments. She was so good that she'd be contending for the lead, and then three putt coming down the stretch to finish second. And it was because she was so nervous about speaking as the champion. She didn't want to speak, so she was just like, I'll finish second. And a couple of things, come to mind on that is, I guess her dad at one point just said, "Hey, Annika, this week, the top two players, have to speak at the award ceremony." So she was just like, "Well, crap, if I have to speak, if I finish in second, I might as well just try to win." But she has this phrase that she still, communicates to young women: face your fears. So you're always going to have fears in your life, and you shouldn't try to avoid them. You should try to take them on. And she's been a direct, testament, to that phrase of just even, facing her fears about public speaking. And if you would hear her speak right now, like, she's an amazing public speaker. You would have no idea. So it's kind of neat to see, someone that's the greatest of all time. You think their life is just perfect and rosy and no obstacles, and just to have examples like that with Annika's life, that she learned and she persevered, and she stuck with it, and she faced her fears. I mean, I think it's really inspiring for girls and young women, and anybody for that matter, to learn from her.
Yeah, and it's been so great to see her kind of back in the public sphere as well. After her playing career, she wasn't the face of women's golf that she was during it, but she's come back. She is playing the U.S. Women's Senior Open. She's playing the PNC Parent-Child event, and it's so great to have kind of the leadership that she brings.
Yeah, I think it's been great just to have her play some, and her foundation has been a huge part of what she's been doing the last 16 years. So that's I think we're all very blessed by what she's been doing. So anyways, yeah.
You said something that I don't think most people know earlier regarding the PGA Tour being such a big charitable foundation. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, just the PGA Tour was set up, obviously to provide their members, their players, a place to make a living and to entertain fans through the tournaments. But when it was first set up, Dean Beeman and the team, they set it up where monies were given back to charities. The net proceeds, basically, of virtually every event is given back to charities in the local market. And in a lot of cases, it's $10 million each year that's given back, and sometimes more, sometimes less. But a lot of these charities, depend on these monies to help them with their annual budgets. And I think that's why companies, I think, have gotten involved. I mean, it's good for business. It brings exposure to their brand and their company. It's good customer hosting opportunities to build relationships, but it's good PR because these companies, through their sponsorship, they're helping other people, they're helping communities, they're helping charities. So I think there's, I'll call it the softer side that the companies, benefit from. So, I applaud the PGA Tour of how they initially set up their tournaments. I think it's incredible because it's like, win-win-win with the players and the fans, and then the communities that are involved. It's pretty special.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense for a major tour who's traveling all over the country, right, to sort of, for that week, personify wherever they're at, right? If you go to an event in the Hilton Head event, the Heritage, that feels dramatically different than say the Waste Management, and it kind of is built around the community more so than other leagues that have a team.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the other thing that the PGA Tour has done over time also is you know, maybe it started out as just a tournament competition, then a customer hosting thing. But I think the PGA Tour over time, they kind of saw what the other leagues were doing. They've encouraged every tournament to elevate the fan experience. And I think that's where a lot of times you'll see the local personality of the event come out. And it's not just things like the WM, Phoenix Open and, what's that all about, but just I think every community has tried to put their own touch into making the fan experience, of high quality and of interest. And the LPGA Tour is doing the same thing. I'm sure other tours around the world are also doing it, but I credit the PGA Tour. There was a lot of focus into elevating the fan experience.
So when it comes to a PGA Tour or an LPGA Tour event, can you talk about the importance of maybe the title sponsor and sort of what their role is in the event and what that looks like? There's been some talk recently about, sponsors coming in and out of golf and sort of the repercussions.
Yeah, I used to oversee or head up different parts of the sponsorship business at the PGA Tour, so I was pretty intimately involved on a lot of sponsorship deals. But without a sponsor, basically the event doesn't happen. So maybe a tournament can survive a year on kind of a rainy day fund that they've set aside, but really without typically a title sponsor, the event really doesn't happen and doesn't continue and doesn't go on. So the title sponsor is vital. A lot of times it comes from the local market. There's other times it could come from a out-of-town company that likes the location from a customer hosting standpoint. But in a lot of ways the title sponsor is king/queen, and that's why a lot of the players they'll go out of their way to recognize the title sponsor in their speeches. They'll do things for the title sponsor to, have a touch point for the customers that the title sponsor might be hosting. Obviously the Pro-Am is typically a big thing in an LPGA Tour event or a PGA Tour event. The title sponsor has a lot of, key customers playing. And so, in most cases the players are at least briefed, on if they're playing with a title sponsor's guest. And honestly, it doesn't really matter because the player's trying to provide a good time also for whoever they're playing with. But yeah, all the players know the importance of the title sponsors and the local sponsors too, and the volunteers. But the title sponsor is a really big component.
Yeah, I think that a lot of fans, I was as a junior, first time going to PGA Tour events, was like very surprised at the Pro-Am component of tour events because it's so unlike something that you'd see in other sports. But, just like, you working on your foundation, like the tour is looking to provide what's necessary to ensure that they can survive and provide for their events as well.
Yeah, no, the Pro-Ams are incredible. And I will say, even at the Annika Foundation, we've implemented college AMs. So it's like a Pro-Am, except
Yeah.
three, say, corporate people are playing with a collegiate player at our college event. And we do junior AMs too at this recent event in Florida where we had the top, 72 young women juniors from around the world playing. We had three, amateurs playing with a junior player, and I will tell you the experience that these corporate people or these amateurs have playing with quote our players. It's unbelievable the feedback we get, not just about the players, their talent level, but their maturity level and how personable they are. And it makes us proud, because we're trying to, advance that part, of the person as well and help them understand the importance of, interaction and relationships and all. But the people that participate in our junior AMs and college AMs, it's amazing. I mean, we probably have like 99% renewal just because of the experience. But they also realize, they want to support, what we're doing too. But yeah, to be able to play a tournament course with an actual player, under tournament conditions, I mean, I don't think any other sport provides that experience.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough, coming up through junior golf, like the AJGA, playing college. I've been a player in a pro am. I've been the am. I've been the pro. I've been the college player. I've been in every bit of it, and I've caddied on the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour pro ams. Like they're so fun for everybody. And everyone learns a ton from each, just the connections being made, whether it's a player and someone in the corporate world. And it's not always transactional. It's a great time, but then it also can lead to great things down the road as well. But also just as an amateur, getting to play a tournament under tournament conditions, even if you're not the primary scorer, like you're going to learn more about your game in that setting than you will in years of just going out and playing your country club.
Alex, that was one thing you reminded me of. Even in our college am, I had a lot of participants, the corporate people or the amateurs that played with the college player. They said it was so fascinating because a lot of times one of the coaches would follow the player because it's their practice round
Yeah.
also. And so listening to the dialogue and the strategy between the coach and the player, I had so many of the amateurs tell me what a fascinating experience that was, just listening to that conversation. And then watch the player basically then execute what they had just talked about with the coach. But just even around the greens and where you want to miss it, and if you miss it over here, it's easier to get up and down from here than over there, and you don't want to miss it there. But just hearing the
It's like a chess
insider
match
talk,
there.
hearing the insider talk you normally don't get. And so I think for a lot of people that insight and experience was something they didn't expect.
Yeah. So tell me, what is next for you and the foundation? And this is a plug to go play some pro-ams and college ams and junior ams because you're gonna learn. So we'll just move past that. You've been warned. But what's sort of the next big picture for you guys?
Yeah, well, we do these. I mentioned we do, these clinics and we do these tournaments, and help people try to pursue their dreams of playing pro golf. Even I don't think our vision is necessarily, Alex, to double the number of tournaments that we're doing. We're adding a couple. We want to do a younger one for girls 12 to 15 years old. Typically, we serve kind of 14 to 18 years old. But the USGA is starting a new national, golf team within the
Yes.
U.S. for boys and girls, and they're trying to evaluate talent at an earlier age. So Annika wanted to help and be a part of that. So we said, oh, well, why don't we do a premier event that brings together the top 12 to 15-year-old girls. So we haven't announced it yet, but we'll be announcing that here in the next month. But it'll start this year, and then we're going to add a second college event for mid-major conference champions, because a lot of times the mid-major conferences, if you will, don't get as much love and attention as some of the other conferences.
We don't have the
And
strength of schedule to be ranked high enough to get invited to a national championship on your own.
yes, and so we want to provide a really high-quality golf tournament that maybe even has kind of a career development, life development aspect to it. Just to further these women on the life side, not just the golf side. But I'm really excited that we're gonna be announcing that one in early April, and it'll start next year. But so we'll add some things like that, but we're gonna just be looking at different initiatives that can reach more women beyond just participating in an event. So as one example, we're going to be testing a virtual more than golf series. So Annika will host it, maybe with a guest host, of a topic, whether it's, Pilates or nutrition or mental health or whatever. We're going to start one in March and see how it goes. But our vision is maybe we'll do something quarterly. Get a sponsor or two or three involved in it and be able to reach more women, around the country, around the world, and help them, with topics that can help them not just in golf, but again in life. So just things like that, there just will be a little bit different than, what we've done in the past. So we have a plan of attack, which I won't share with you all or with you, but, we're slowly trying to chip away at it. Annika has a great vision. She shared it with me before I started. So we're slowly but surely, trying to, accomplish some of these things, and, we're going to get there.
It sounds like it. You guys are doing great, great work. And, you guys know where to go to find out more, to find an event near you, to find where to donate. So I won't bore you to that. There'll be a link under the video or under the podcast or whatever. But Rob, it was great to have you on. The work that you're doing, I mean, not Annika's Foundation directly, but I would owe a lot of what, what made me a player growing up to things like it, from first tee towards, or first tee AJGA, things that my local golf association provided me, in the South Dakota Golf Association. Like, players need this stuff to really maximize their potential, and the opportunities that come along with it are unbelievable. So the fact that you're doing it for such a important and big group is amazing.
Thank you, Alex. And I give credit to Annika and Mike, who started the foundation. And I mean, whether you want to donate or not, it's AnnikaFoundation.org. It just provides more information on what we're doing. But I will say, Annika is an amazingly special person. You would think that, everybody knows her as being, the greatest of all time on the women's side. But I will tell you what she has done to give back to the next generation of women. But just a humble, modest person that's just so real and transparent that it's been just a pleasure and an honor to work with her and her husband Mike. She's an amazing person, an amazing leader, an amazing role model.
All right, well, we'll end on that note. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for everyone for listening, and we'll be back soon.